Orchestrated scores for any medium of the Batman franchise has been a staple ever since the 1989 movie by Tim Burton, and Batman Arkham Asylum honors that tradition with its original soundtrack by composers Nick Arundel and Ron Fish. I must say that the music is very well done, and is more of a nostalgic inspiration to the original movie scores of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies composed by Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard. It seems like the perfect way to go, since the game was developed by a European game developer, and both the recent Batman movie sound scores were done by those who live in the UK. It does make me a bit disappointed that they did not use any music as inspiration towards Danny Elfman's work in Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. However, its powerful orchestra definitely makes me forget about what should and should not be there, as the tunes are very catchy for something dark and grim. The sound effects are all well in place, and they do sound real as they use Foley artists in common these days. The voice acting is another story. Most video games have voice acting that is very obscure, and there are some that nail the bat with positive praise. Batman follows along the positive praise, but goes towards the path of perfection with the voice cast. The big pluses are the voices of Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Arlene Sorkin as Batman, the Joker, and Harley Quinn from the 90s animated series. That was a wise move, as Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are like the Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson of the Tim Burton movies and Christian Bale and Heath Ledger of the Christopher Nolan films. Most of the dialogue is well executed, while some can be a bit funny to a mature extent.
Need to take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my pants.
Okay. Nobody said anything about dropping.
Need to take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my.
Shut up, funny man.
I'd be happy to drop my.
Be quiet.
I'd be happy to drop my.
Shut up!
I'd be happy to drop my.
Alright, that's it.
Welcome! Punch!
Yeah, I know. It was dumb, but it was still funny. Well, anyway, most of the other voices are also very familiar, and they fit in well, like Wally Wingard as the Riddler and Stephen Bloom as Killer Croc. Everything in what you hear is just as close to being considered a masterpiece for today's comic book video games, and Batman Arkham Asylum really takes the cake.
What does it mean? It's Spanish for witch.
Batman debuted in the comic book world, making his first appearance in Detective Comics number 27, but his popularity in pop culture was established when the 1966 live-action TV series came to be, when Adam West and Burt Ward starred as the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin. Throughout the years, there have been many comic books, video games, movies, and cartoon adaptations of the Batman, with some of them being really big milestones like the 1989 Tim Burton movie, Batman the Animated Series that was written by Paul Dini, who oddly enough was the writer for this game, by the way, Batman Year One by Frank Miller, and the Dark Knight film by Christopher Nolan. Batman has come a really long way for over 70 years, but Bob Kane's creation of the character continues to surprise all of us with the direction of realism that is radically different from the many comic book superheroes that you see as of today. Batman Arkham Asylum has been very groundbreaking by far, that it is on the verge of standing the test of time as being the next big milestone for the Dark Knight himself. Batman is still very strong to this day, but time will tell as what we can expect next from Bob Kane's own definitive creation. Honestly, there really isn't that much to complain about, but there are a couple things that really annoy me to this day. The first complaint I can say about the game is the melee combat. It became more like fighting the same enemies with the same attacks over and over again. It gets boring after a while, and it makes you wish you performed stealth attacks more than this. On a similar note, the enemy roll call could have been improved with even some of Batman's moderate diabolical enemies as regular foes. I wanted to fight a larger scale of enemies like corrupted policemen and such, but I guess since the game takes place on an island full of crazies, we must have only one type of foe. One last complaint that I have, but only a minor one, is that Arkham Island could have been a bit more bigger to explore. I mean, there's only about maybe 5 to 7 buildings that you can travel into, and you can travel the grounds on the island itself and the outside, but I wish there was sort of a bigger scale of exploration. Other than that, Arkham Island is okay for what it is in this game. Everything should be given an A+ in this game. I mean, the voice acting was wonderful, the music sounded very dynamic, the story and dialogue were well written, the characters were all fun as we can relate them to their many incarnations from various mediums, and the visuals were superb for a high-definition game like this. I'm serious. The game is just on par in being a masterpiece like the recently released Uncharted 2 Amongst Thieves on the PlayStation 3 and Shadow Complex on the Xbox Live Arcade. There was always something that went on in this game. Whether if it was dialogue, action, puzzle solving, or solving riddles, the game had so much to offer. Batman was treated perfectly for a 3D game. The personalities of all the characters were perfected, and their looks in the game looked very sick for being designed into something original. Let's take Harley Quinn for example. She may always appear in her regular jester outfit in most of the comics and TV shows, but holy crud! Her outfit made her look disgusting and beautiful at the same time. It's the same with the Joker. Most of his actions and dialogue are so diabolical that it makes you scared and laugh altogether. Despite the few things I have wrong with the game, everything was put into place in a well-defined manner. Batman Arkham Asylum is the first HD Batman game where Rocksteady Studios managed to perfect the Dark Knight for what he is. Even if you rent this game, the chances of you buying it are going to be much larger and higher than what you could possibly expect. There is no mistake about it. This game will definitely stand the test of time as being one of the greatest comic book video games ever made. With it recently appearing on the Guinness Book of World Records, this should be a strong indication as to how this game will overtopple every other comic book game out there, and for the many others that are about to come in the future. I am proud to give Batman Arkham Asylum on the PS3, 360, and the PC a perfect 10 out of 10, and I strongly recommend you put this in your collection of games that you own. You will not be disappointed.
Oh yeah. Batman Arkham Asylum is really awesome, and it's really fun to play with its different styles of gameplay. That means I can't even getting hooked off of it. I mean, especially when it's a night like Halloween is already over. It's already midnight. Oh well. At least there's always another Halloween next year. And I think that's going to conclude this episode of RPG Reviews with Batman Arkham Asylum. I'll be back in full force again next time, or again next year on Halloween. Especially if it's a Halloween game, or in the next review if it will be a game from any genre. Whether if it's from any genre you like, I'll be sure to satisfy your needs. This is RPG, and I'll see you next time.
Need to take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my...
Damn it!
Welcome, punch!